Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's information meeting here from the East Zone of the Dixie Fire. My name is Sean Collins. I'm the Public Information Officer with California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. Tonight, we'll be giving you an update purely on the East Zone of the fire. There's been a rearrangement of resources, and the Cal Fire team, team number 3, will be giving their update tomorrow night on the West Zone of the fire. So any questions that you guys have coming in, please try and keep them to our zone because we will be unable to answer those questions on the West Zone. So tonight we'll be talking specifically about the East Zone of the Dixie Fire. Current acreage is 482,047 acres, and we've actually been managed to gain, due to the efforts of all firefighting crews, 1%. I know it's a 1% gain, but we're at 22% right now. Those firefighting crews total 5,996 people. We have some speakers lined up for tonight. The first one of those speakers will be from our very own California Interagency Incident Management Team 4, our Operations Section Chief, Carl Jacobson.
Good evening. We'll start in the south. Everything in the southern edge is holding within its current footprint. We do have resources engaged in here, continuing to mop up and secure the line. Everything in the south end is looking good. We're feeling really confident that we're going to be able to keep the fire in its current footprint as we move through the southern area of the fire. As we come around towards DP 219 and Immigrant Road, this has been secure for a few days. We're looking at being able to call this contained either later today or tomorrow, so we're feeling very confident it's going to stay in here. We had additional resources in the Crescent Mills area today, continuing to mop up and secure around the community as well. Today we were also successful in the Ketty Point area between Indian Valley and the North Arm of getting line across on the southern end, so we were able to get indirect line all the way across Ketty Ridge. As we move further north, crews continue to work on Diamond Mountain Road and hold Diamond Mountain Road as the fire continues to back down to the road. We have resources engaged, ready to hold the road. As we move up to the Lone Rock area, the fire has progressed into the Bear Valley area, but in the last 2 days, working closely with our counterparts from the West Zone, we've been able to go direct and get around the fire's edge all the way on the north side, all the way down the east, and tonight we're going to be going direct on the southern piece of this, attempting to bring this back into Diamond Mountain Road. So a lot of good work has been happening in there. Today was the first day in a few days that we had good, clean air in there, so we were able to use our helicopters, both Type 1 and Type 2 helicopters. We had a period of about 3 hours or so that we were flying all of the aircraft we had on the incident in this Lone Rock area, and then down in the Hunt Canyon, Ketty Ridge area as well. This area in Coyote Peak, we are still working in here trying to get a ridge line that we can go ahead and tie back into the sheep fire. Everything that we do have that hit the sheep fire perimeter has checked itself up, and there's no growth in this sheep fire area. As we move around to Dyer Mountain and this area in here, we have put a piece of indirect line in and are going to continue constructing that line just south of Mountain Meadows Reservoir. We're also working a road system going towards Little Dyer Mountain with equipment and crews coordinating with our counterparts in the West Zone. We also have resources that continue to work the fire's edge direct as possible through here, trying to prevent any further fire spread. So we are working direct and indirect options at the same time to make sure we have all potential opportunities. Given fire behavior, we're unsure of what this fire wants to do sometimes when the smoke lifts, so we're trying to have as many options as possible available. None of the structures on the East Shore have been impacted, same with Clear Creek and Westwood, so we're trying to keep fire out of that area. Additionally, we were able to open up 70 late this evening. That is not for anybody to go in there and take a look at the fire, just for traffic to be able to make access to areas as necessary. All in all, it's been productive these last few days. It's still a very difficult firefight. The weather, the fuels conditions can create extreme fire behavior, but they're in there doing everything they can.
Okay, thank you. Next up, I'd like to introduce to you our incident meteorologist, Rich Thompson.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Again, Rich Thompson, incident meteorologist. Before I get into what we're expecting with the forecast this week, I want to take a minute just to explain exactly what an incident meteorologist is. Incident meteorologists, or IMET for short, are a specially trained cadre of meteorologists who work for the National Weather Service. Anytime there is a significant wildfire in the United States, usually an incident management team is called up to manage the fire. The IMET is dispatched by the National Weather Service to provide weather support to the incident management team. And we provide this support through doing weather briefings, forecasts for the incident action plan, media interviews, and also community meetings like this. So we're basically there to provide weather information to the team in order to keep both the firefighters safe and the public safe. That's why we're here as IMETs. Now for the forecast this week, we're looking for a return of hot and dry conditions to the area. High pressure is going to be building over the western United States this week, and so we're looking for warmer temperatures through the week. In fact, by Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to see widespread temperatures in the 90s to even over 100 degrees here across the fire. As those temperatures increase, we're also going to see very low relative humidity, very little moisture in the atmosphere. We're going to see humidity is dropping down into the low teens and even the single digits during the day, with very little, if any, recovery at night. So those two things are hot temperatures and low humidity are very bad for the fire environment. Those can lead to the fire wanting to be more active. On top of that, we're going to have gusty southwest winds each afternoon, about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So the combination of the hot temperatures, low humidity, and those gusty winds in the afternoon are going to bring very elevated fire weather conditions to the Dixie Fire. Additionally, by the Thursday, Friday time frame, we're looking for the possibility of some monsoonal moisture to come up into the area. And that's just subtropical moisture that comes up from Mexico around the high pressure area. And as that moisture moves into the area, it's going to bring the chance of thunderstorms to the fire Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now, these thunderstorms pose an additional threat to the firefighters in the fact that those thunderstorms can produce additional dry lightning strikes in and around the fire perimeter itself, and also produce some very gusty winds. So overall, we're looking for very significant fire weather conditions to develop across the area this week.
Thanks very much for that update there, Rich. Next up, I would like to introduce to you Plumas County Sheriff, Sheriff Todd Johns.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Plumas County Sheriff Todd Johns. I'd like to start off with some very good news tonight. At this time, all the reports that we received for unaccounted persons have been cleared, and everyone that was on that list has been safely located. So that's as of right now. My investigations unit, as well as my deputy staff and dispatchers, have done some great work in the last couple days, locating a total of 31 individuals that were unaccounted for. And I want to thank the public and the media support in getting the word out and assisting us in locating these individuals. Over the last couple of days, I've received some questions about the difference between a warning versus an order, so I just want to cover that real quick. So when a warning comes out from the sheriff's office, what that means is that you should start preparing to evacuate. That means you get your personal items together, collect your pets or have them ready to go, and make arrangements possibly for where you might want to stay. When a mandatory order comes out, that means it is time to go. That means you pack your things up, you pack your individual items that you've deemed to be the most essential, you get your pets, your medications, personal belongings, and that is time to leave. I also received a question of folks that want an individual timeline of when we are going to repopulate areas that are under a mandatory evacuation. As I've said numerous times, but I want to cover again, it's virtually impossible with the weather and the fire activity that we've had to give a timeline. I have consistently stated that it is a priority of mine to repopulate areas as quickly as possible by working with the incident team, CHP, Caltrans, PG&E, my staff. We have these meetings daily, sometimes many times a day, to discuss that, and just know that we will repopulate areas that are evacuated as quickly as possible. Yesterday, we issued 3 evacuation orders, and they were mandatory evacuation orders for zones 20, which is the Hart K Ranch, zone 29, Lone Rock, and zone 30, Antelope. For those of you that might be a little bit confused and are familiar with the area of the Genesee Valley, the Hart K Ranch includes the area only north of Genesee Valley, so the residences at the bottom of the Antelope Lake Road, and the Hart K Ranch itself would be included in Genesee Valley, but everything north of those residences would be considered the Hart K Ranch. And again, those orders are mandatory, so if you are still in that area, please leave immediately until we deem it safe for you to return. As the incident commander or the ops talked about earlier, today at 5 o'clock we were able to reopen Highway 70. I want to just cover that for a moment. We know that that is a thoroughfare that comes in and out of our county and that is quite popular to travel on. I just ask that you use it for essential travel only. Please understand that there's still fire personnel. There's rocks that are still potentially coming off of the hill. So when you're in that area, you need to slow way down. Be cautious of your surroundings because they could change at a moment's notice. But we felt that it was critically important to the county to get that thoroughfare open. Again, that area of Highway 70 is still under an evacuation warning. So if you have a residence there and you return to it, I want to make sure that you know that you still need to be cautious for fire activity in your area. And understand that any area outside of your residence is still considered to be under a mandatory evacuation. So that doesn't mean that you can walk out into the hills or the woods or the like of that. We know folks are anxious to get back in their neighborhoods and homes. Please use caution. There still may be fire equipment and personnel in those areas. Many of our friends and neighbors have lost everything, and I know for those folks, the healing and recovery process will begin when they are able to see the damage that has been done to their property. Please know that we are working as quickly as we can to get you back to these closed evacuation areas. Our main priority is to get everybody back in safe, so please continue to bear with us as we work with Caltrans, CHP, CAL FIRE, and PG&E to ensure all hazards are removed prior to entry. My staff is establishing a system to provide a sheriff's escort for residents of impacted communities into their properties. For the latest information, I just ask that you watch our county Facebook page or go to plumas.us. And our intent is that prior to opening areas up to the public or a thoroughfare like Highway 89 through Greenville and Canyon Dam, is that we will actually escort folks into those areas so that they can view their property and then have a discussion with them as to what the next steps will be. So again, I hope to have that accomplished over the next couple of days, so just continue to be patient with us, please. Additionally, my dispatch center has been overwhelmed with calls related to this fire. Calls received range from people wanting to get back into evacuated areas as well as escorts and the like. Starting tomorrow afternoon, we'll be providing a phone number to call into for information that will be staffed during the daytime hours. Please look for the information about this number on our Facebook page. Please continue to call my dispatch center should you have an emergency or want to report a crime. However, if it's for an escort or anything else that's fire-related, non-emergency, please look for the number that will be provided for tomorrow and start using that number. I know that standing here, I referenced Greenville a lot during these community meetings, but I absolutely realize that Belden, Rich Bar, Indian Falls, Canyon Dam, the West Shore, Chester, Warner Valley have all sustained home loss. Not to mention the fact that communities where no homes have been lost but were under extended evacuation, like Bucks Lake and Meadow Valley, who was almost out of their homes for 3 weeks, have had losses as well in the as far as perishable items, wages, rent, things like that. I want you to know that myself, my staff, and the county employees at the Emergency Operations Center will continue to work tirelessly to get any and all available assistance that we can for our communities affected by this tragedy. Our communities are strong, and we will get through this together. We need to continue to support each other, your neighbors, your family, and your friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Some great information there. Next up, I'd like to introduce you to California Interagency Incident Management Team 4, our Incident Commander, Rocky Opliger.
Again, good evening. I'm Rocky Opliger, Incident Commander for California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. Again, I want to welcome each and every one of you that have gone on logged into our virtual community meeting. You know, one of the questions that have come up is the number of firefighters we currently have on the fire and why don't we have more firefighters. So I want to give you an example of the difficulties we're facing in the Western United States. We currently in the Western United States have 96 uncontained, uncontrolled large fires. We have 25,225 firefighters deployed throughout the Western United States, of which we have 5,960 of those firefighters. If you were to take the number of large fires that are basically uncontained, divide that into the number of firefighters, if they were to divvy that up evenly, each fire would only get 263 firefighters. So that tells you that we are definitely the #1 priority in the country. We are the largest fire in the country. We take a look at aviation assets. We currently have 30 helicopters assigned to our fire. We have 9 large fires in California, and the second fire with the most helicopter aviation next to us is 7. We have 88 hand crews that are assigned. Those are 15 to 20 person plus people that go out and physically cut brush, do hotline, squirt water, try to go direct around the fires, and we have 88 of those crews. The next most on any fire in the Western United States is 18. We have 525 fire engines. The next most on any fire is 62. So we're very fortunate, and that's because of the relationships that our agency administrators, our cooperating agencies, as this is right now with CAL FIRE Team 3 and our team, has put those efforts and support that we're getting nationally and throughout California for the incident that is occurring. When we take a look at our weather, there's some concerning things happening with the weather. We're seeing that starting tomorrow we'll be at 96-degree temperatures. On Thursday we're looking at 100-degree temperatures, and the following day potentially 101-degree temperatures. This is the environment that our firefighters are facing. We have extreme critical drought, as we're all aware of. You've heard it many times from fire managers. We're probably 6 to 8 weeks ahead of what normal fire season, even the severe, significant fire season we had in 2020. And we have angry fire on a landscape that makes it very difficult and to contain these fires and control these fires. An incredibly steep country that our firefighters are working in. So there was a question that says, well, why can't you just put the fire out, and why are you putting rings around the fire, far away from the fire? Well, really, the folks are doing every effort to go what we call go direct line construction and stay on the fire edge. The reason you see additional dozer lines out ahead of the fire and what we call contingency lines is if you take a look at the fire behavior that we're experiencing. Several days ago, we had a single day had a 15-mile run. Last year, we experienced a 26-mile run of a fire that went 218,000 acres in one burning period, essentially 7 hours. So when we take a look at that kind of fire behavior we're experiencing, and again, our #1 priority is always your safety, the public safety, but it's also the safety of our emergency responders. Our firefighters are law enforcement folks that are out there every single day. And so when we take a look at where we are with resources and the kind of fire, we are doing everything possible in collaboration with all our cooperators to try to do go direct, get as close to the fire as we can, and try to reach our containment objectives. And it is a slow process. We have a fire that's now burning on the landscape almost a month. But I'm real confident in the work that I've seen, the cooperation I've seen, just working together for one mission to try to reach our containment objectives. So I ask everyone, I know it's tough when you see this, you face this year after year, certainly in this area, seem that you can't escape the kind of conditions that you have faced here in Northern California and certainly in the Plumas, Lassen counties, along with Butte and now Tehama County. Our firefighters are doing every effort we can. And I tell you, as I stand here, just extremely proud of the men and women. And again, we've had resources from Hawaii to the South Pacific, to Alaska, to the East Coast. And those efforts continue as we have folks that basically time out. They're continuing to give us resources to keep the resources we need to eventually reach our containment objectives. So again, on behalf of California Team 4, CAL FIRE Team 3, all the cooperating land management agencies, our law enforcement agencies, and all of our cooperators, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief, for that management perspective. Next up, I would like to introduce to you the Plumas National Forest Forest Supervisor, Chris Colton.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again for making time to join us for some information on the Dixie Fire, the east side this evening. Want to start off with responding to a couple of questions we received. Excuse me, last week or a couple nights ago, we received a question about our firefighters getting tested for COVID. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about that. So on this forest, we had the North Complex last year, and during the entire North Complex, we successfully put COVID mitigations in place that kept thousands of firefighters safe through masking, social distancing, testing, and that kind of stuff. You know, we all hoped we would be in a different place, and we thought we might be there earlier this season. Unfortunately, COVID is not in a different place, and excuse me. And so, unfortunately, we are seeing that new variant, that Delta variant, come out, and we've already seen some people test positive. And so, what we've done is gone back to some of those masking requirements within our fire camps. I know that's, you know, none of us want to be doing that, but that's kind of where we are. We got to control that spread. It also cuts down a lot of other stuff, you know, a lot of other colds and flu and that sort of thing. So we've got that. We are doing testing of both anybody who's showing symptoms or anybody who just wants to get tested for kind of reassurance before they go home. And then finally, we've been offering vaccinations here in camp for our firefighters who want them. So, you know, we're really trying to be as aggressive as we can around this Delta variant for COVID. Hope that answers the question somebody had posted in there. I wanted to talk also about the forest closure. You heard the sheriff talk about Highway 70. So, you know, as a reminder, if you do have to, you know, if you're at your property or you live in there, we do still have forest closures out there because those same hazardous conditions along the highway exist out there on the public lands as well. And so please, you know, we ask you to be careful and recognize those closures are there to keep people safe. There's a lot of hazards out there, and we need to make sure we get the fire contained, and then we can reevaluate as conditions allow. So thank you for that. You know, another question came up about how we fight fire, and I really want to clarify that every single agency, and you can look on the podium here, there are, I think, 6 or 7 different emblems up there. Every single agency, should be 6 or 7, involved in this fire fights fire the same. We go in and we hit it hard to put it out. And that's our commitment to every single firefighter that goes out there. That's our commitment to our communities and to everyone who's watching. We are there to put public safety and firefighter safety and community protection first and foremost in every situation. And then just one last kind of positive note. You heard about all the resources on this fire. And I want to talk a little bit about what they've done. We have over 229 miles of dozer line that was put in, 104 miles of roads that have been prepped to use for this fire, 18 miles of hand line, and that's those 20-person crews, 18 miles of line they've put in. And so finally, you know, we're seeing a lot of work. We're seeing some progress. That 1% of containment doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 4,820 acres. You know, 1% of a 482,000 acre fire is a little under 5,000 acres. That's quite an accomplishment. You know, and just wrapping up, I know that there are a lot of tensions out there. People are feeling pretty anxious. There's a lot of unknowns in the communities. We don't know where this fire is going to end and where it's going to land. It continues to challenge us. And one of the things we can do, we can't control some of that, but what we can control is how we're facing it and how we're dealing with each other and keeping that positive. We've had reports that some of our folks have who happen to be wearing this uniform have had some hard questions out there. And I really want to recognize that right now, everybody in here, everybody in our communities is impacted exactly the same right now. We have folks in our agency who have lost homes. We have folks in our partners' agencies who have lost homes. And right now, I just ask that we continue to show some grace and recognize these are hard times for everybody. And let's just get through them together and keep that positive attitude and really support each other. Thank you and have a safe evening.
Thank you for those words. We've had several questions coming from our social media pages, and my staff has been going through those, hopefully answering those as they come in. There has been a specific group of questions about the Janesville area, and so to try and encompass all of those questions in one go, I'm going to bring back our operations section chief, Kyle Jacobson.
Yes, so we did have several questions about the Janesville area, and I just wanted to point out that we are working closely with CAL FIRE, with Plumas National Forest, and we have developed a contingency group in the area. There's a fuel break that was put in Janesville, and we are in there working on opening up that fuel break, doing everything we can to have additional lines in between where the fire's at and Janesville. In addition to working this area around Lone Rock, we are also looking at putting contingency line in Wildcat Ridge to add another layer of security, as well as the fuel break around the community. So we're doing everything we can to secure the communities of Janesville and Susanville. Life and property are our #1 priority, and we're working closely to make sure we have all of the resources we can protecting those communities. As we've been doing, we really try and protect that life and property. Another question that came up was an update on firing operations, and I just wanted to let everybody know that we aren't doing any large-scale firing operations in the East Zone. Right now, we are really focused on going direct, and we have a number of pieces of equipment in here. Just for example, just in this Lone Rock area, we have over 10 dozers that are working just this one little piece, day and night, over 15 engines just in here, as well as hand crews. As we move down into the valley, we have another additional 8 dozers that continue to work north with additional engines and hand crews. So we are doing everything we can and putting all of our resources into place. Like I said, coordinating very closely to get additional resources from the Plumas National Forest and with CAL FIRE to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect life and property.
Thanks, Chief. That's coming towards the end of our briefing for tonight, our community meeting. Thank you all for joining us. Just as a quick reminder, tomorrow's meeting, at the same location, I believe we'll be streaming that too, will be given by CAL FIRE Team 3. Same time, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, and they will be taking questions on the West Zone. Remember, West Zone will be every other day on the odd days, and the East Zone updates will be every other day on the even days. Look for all the links that we will be providing for everybody. Thank you from the Dixie Fire East Zone.